G'day everyone, this is Richard, and I guess maybe some of you are interested in flying and maybe a little bit of hang gliding, so I thought I'd take the chance to talk about it a little bit on this video. And anyway, once you get going, just leave the hill, get out there, get into the air, and then you've got to find some lift. If you don't have any lift, then you're not going to be going up. So here you can see probably that once I got in there, I was not turning right, so that means basically I'm still looking for lift if I'm not turning. Get out, and you can probably tell I'm getting a little low. Obviously the lower you get, the harder it gets, and at some stage you've got to call it and head out towards where the landing field is. You might still get some lift on the way, but what you really want to do is launch straight into a nice thermal that's coming up the hill, and when you can do that, it's all good, but otherwise you just have to struggle for a bit and just keep weighing up whether or not the thermal's going to kick off and whether you're climbing, and just keep an eye on the trees and keep turning, keep looking for it, and eventually, with any luck, like on this day, you'll find just a little bit of lift, and maybe you'll find a lot, but whatever you got, you got to go with it, and then start trying to turn, keep those turns really precise, and stop, just so you're not losing height on the turns, you got to do it efficiently. Keep an eye on your Vario, the vertical speed indicator, it's going to tell you a lot, and you can maybe hear the output from that. It's a beeping sound, and it's also got a visual display, but essentially that is your friend, and that combined with your visual senses of what the horizon's doing, obviously, is your primary input for knowing whether you're going up or down. Yeah, so around about here, sometimes it does get a little bit exciting. You're in close to the hill, you really are quite keen to get and stay in the lift, and it can get a little bit physical, those thermals are not always big and uniform, sometimes they're a bit bouncy, sometimes they're a bit rugged, and it takes a bit to stay in it, but that's actually pretty good fun. So quite often you've been there and you've been hooking into something good, and all of a sudden then you realise you're climbing up above the hill, and you can see over the other side of the hill, you can see the horizon. So Tamborine, first thing you notice is you can start to see the Gold Coast, and that's a pretty nice feeling. This is quite a good stage. You can see down there below the launch site where I took off from, and I've probably got about 200 or 300 feet above that now, and I'm in a nice thermal, it's going up smoothly, and I've got a feeling that I can probably stick with that and probably get up to like 1,000, 2,000 feet above the launch easily, which is pretty well what happened. Okay, now we're getting up, decent thermal, 3,000 feet, smooth, probably not going to fall out of it. Okay. Averaging about 300 feet a minute. So I'll take a moment and say hello to everyone. Hello to all the guys at uni. Oh, now I've lost the thermal again. That's always the way. So I'll put the mic away, find the thermal. So here we are, basically at the top of that thermal, or at least as far as I wanted to drift with it. So I've got to turn around, head out the front again, and assess the situation. Where am I going to look for the next bit of lift? I wanted to move on course line, head a bit to the northwest, so I head out there and see whether I can find some more lift. Often there is, and in this case there was. Alright, so it's actually a very slow day, the thermals are not real strong, and I've already been in the air by this stage probably 20 minutes, half an hour at least, just slowly climbing out and trying to head along the course. And in my mind obviously is the fact that the guys are going to be getting a bit anxious to get started flying the UAV, but I wanted to balance that against flying there, which is probably going to not necessarily take much longer. So I want to head out to the northwest, and where's the next thermal? Well, you can't tell, and once you leave the hill, you're probably less likely to have an obvious thermal trigger. So it's a matter of just cruising out there and trying to keep out of the sink. Obviously, wherever you've got lifting air, somewhere there's probably going to be sinking air, and if you get into some sink, it doesn't take long to get back on the deck. By this stage, a few other gliders had launched, and you can see here guys coming into me because I'm turning, and that means I'm in some rising air. And if I got rising air, that's what he wants a bit of. So it's good actually. Usually you like flying with other people, it means you can spread out a bit and search for lift more effectively. But on the other hand, in this case, it just kind of also provides a bit of a distraction, and all of a sudden instead of really concentrating on the air you're in, you start concentrating on obviously trying to coordinate with the other guy and thermal with him, and that sometimes is actually a bit counterproductive. However, I was just looking down at my known point of landing, the normal landing zone, and trying to just determine when a good time might be to leave that one and where else I was going to be able to put down if I wasn't going to make goal. So at this stage you just got to kind of head away from your last known landing zone, have one already picked out that's going to be your next one if you get sink and you have to land, and head towards goal. Now I wasn't anywhere near as high as I wanted to be. I wanted to be 5,000 feet or something and just cruising towards the paddock that I was aiming for, but I only had about 25 to 3,000 or so at this stage, and but you can see there's a massive landing field right in front of me, that turf farm, so really there was no risk in just heading on. So the goal paddock's firmly in sight and it's really not that far away, but you've got to be patient. Sometimes you don't want to be just diving in there and speeding off towards it and then finding it fall short.
Landing, I just got to land it right. I'm not going to come in with a lot of excess height, but I think I've got a couple of hundred to spare, maybe even $1,000. So hello to Caitlin and Aaron and James and Rick. I'm just going to land it. You'll see the results.
Alright, well now this is the good bit. Made goal, got plenty of height to spare, can come in with heaps of speed and maybe do a couple of little wing overs or whatever. Always a big risk. You don't want to be going crazy when you're coming in and doing anything stupid and crash, especially when you've got your friends down there on the ground. Well, the last thing you want to do, but you still want to have a little bit of fun, try around a little bit. Also, you got to remember to do all the right things. You got to scan the paddock for obstructions. You got to remember where the wind's coming from, what the slope is, set up your approach, and plan it a little bit as per normal. And in this case, I could see that everyone was in the tent, and they didn't even know I was coming. So what I did was just notice my shadow on the ground, and it was a nice sunny day at that time. And the shadow was nice and prominent, so I just lined up the shadow to fly into the tent. So yeah, airspeed is your friend. Plenty of airspeed, you've got plenty of control, and do some really steep turns and nose right down towards the ground quite safely. Obviously not overspeed provided that you can pull a few G's. And a quick refocus of your mind, get back onto the job, landing the aircraft, and set up your approach. You've got a downwind base final, and touchdown. Okay, so here again, I just got to balance a few things. I want to land it reasonably close to where the people are and where the shade is and everything like that, and carry the light far. I also don't want to overshoot and hit anyone, so it's just a matter of like trying to balance out a few adjustments to turns here and there. In this case, of course, I would have had it right, but I decided just to diverge a little bit just to make sure I wasn't going to overshoot, and sure enough, end up, well, what would I say?
Landing with a bang. That's it. Saves a bit of time.
Yeah. Does Aaron know?
No, you might want to give him a call.
Oh.
He doesn't have his phone.
Yeah, he doesn't. We were sitting there, and this big shadow came, like, and we're like, fuck, that was a big shadow, and it hit us. Yeah, good fly. Look,